listeners, and welcome to episode 152 of the Nigerian Football Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Olu Oke. And today I'm super excited because, of course, we're 10 days away from the Premier League starting. So I had to represent, we got the Gyökeres 14 on. Ready to go again as an Arsenal fan and celebrate potential success this season. Yes, this is the Nigerian Football Weekly, but we know everybody in Nigeria loves Premier League football. So finally, we're taking it back and switching our focus back to club football for the new season. So in today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be going through Nigerian players to look out for this season who have something to prove or need to have a great season or need to build on the seasons that they've had last season. So as you know, when it's not Super Eagles games or Super Falcons games, I always cover the players and how they perform for their club sides on a weekly basis, which is quite interesting for me. You get to observe the patterns and see how players performing all through the year. So it's quite an interesting, fun thing to do, to be honest. So after, with all the knowledge we've been getting over the past 4 years or 5 years of running this podcast, it's always exciting to see what narratives we have to look forward to with certain players and how they're going to perform for their club sides, over the season. What could be their motivations? What do they have to look forward to? We know that halfway through the season, we're going to get an Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco starting December 24th on Christmas Eve. So obviously, Nigeria, after finishing second and licking our wounds in Cote d'Ivoire last year, we need to go and deliver again because we know our enemies are watching. At the whole of Africa, they've now seen our women win the football and the basketball. So it's time for Osimhen and co to go and bring and deliver the minerals. But what would that squad look like? There's a lot to play for. There's a lot of exciting reasons why Nigerian footballers this season should be on their best game or be looking for the best situation that suits them, both in terms of their club setup, formation-wise, and making sure that they get enough minutes to make sure that they give themselves the best case to be selected by Eric Sekoshel for the Africa Cup of Nations. We're literally like a month away from World Cup qualifiers that would determine whether we're going to watch Super Eagles in World Cup next summer or not. Yes, we know that it's unlikely, but while there's a chance, we have to hope or we have to pray. So I think we have so many narratives to look forward to, and I'll be covering some of the players to look out for this season and what you should expect from them or what you think will be their motivations for the season. Also, a few of the leagues have already started. The Belgian League has resumed. The Scottish League has resumed. So I'll be touching on the Nigerian players who've played games over the weekend. Also, there's a few Champions League qualifiers involving Nigerian players. We had a game take place today involving Cyriel Dessers, so I'll be touching on that and also touching on games to expect both tomorrow involving Nigerian players. And the Turkish League resumes this weekend. Of course, we still have our best player in Super Eagles, Victor Osimhen, staying in Galatasaray. While I have my thoughts on that, I'm glad I don't have to go and buy a new poster and reframe it because you'll be surprised how much framing a bloody picture costs in this London. But anyway, we shout out to the positives and there's a lot of football to look forward to. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So I have a whole array of footballers that we need to be looking out for this season. I'm not going to lie to you. It's part of the joy. Next week, we'll do a transfer roundup just so we could tell you where every player has landed, who are the players we're going to be covering in the Premier League. There's a few in the Championship. I don't like covering the Championship, but we shall see. Is Lookman going to play for Atalanta or Inter? Who knows? Maduka Okoye, La Liga boys, Christantus Uche especially, Umar Sadiq. There's a lot to look forward to. What's Boniface going to look like playing under Erik ten Hag at Bayer Leverkusen? Will Tella finally take that step up and become an actual star? Who knows? So many narratives to look out for. Terem Moffi finally back after doing his ACL. Nice have a chance to qualify for the Champions League. Where are they going to end up this season? Will Moffi regain his spot? They're about to sell the other striker, Gusson, to Aston Villa. So it looks like it could be a big year ahead for Terem Moffi and a few players. So really excited. And look, we love our national team. Nothing gets the juices flowing like watching the Super Eagles. But, club football is really the bread and butter that, powers this whole thing. So really excited that club football is back. I know how much anybody who listens to this podcast regularly, you must love your football and you love your Nigerian players. So I know for a fact that weekend football gives you life and gives you joy. The same way it gives me life and gives me joy. So boy, am I excited. And I can't wait for the Prem to resume. Especially especially, mark my words, Arsenal are winning the Premier League title this season. We cannot afford to come second 4 times in a row. So mark my words and hold me to it, guys. Let me know who you think is going to win the Premier League as a start. I'd love to see your takes. Could it be Liverpool? Will Isaac end up there? Will Pep Guardiola bounce back? You know, he's got the Liverpool former assistant manager under Klopp as his assistant manager now. Would that make a difference? We shall see. So very excited. So Nigerian players to watch out for in the 2025-2026 season, and I'm providing context as to why I think they either need a big season or they need to push on. So starting with the attackers, I have to start with our players who play for the most prestigious clubs in Europe. You know, at the end of the day, it's still what we'll consider to be bread and butter in terms of, you know, the scale of how good you are. And they don't come much bigger than AC Milan. You know, Samuel Chukwueze. Oh my God, Samuel Chukwueze. I mean, you've been at AC Milan for 2 seasons now. Let's be honest, you haven't really set the world alight. We haven't really seen you kick on from your Villarreal days, you know, and it's been a real struggle. One positive is over the summer, we saw Samuel Chukwueze almost reignite his Super Eagles career, playing for Eric Sekoshel in the friendly games against Russia. No, he didn't play against Russia, but against Jamaica and Ghana especially. You know, he played really, really well in the Unity Cup. But we really, really need him to play well for AC Milan this season. AC Milan have rehired Massimo Allegri, who's one of their better managers in their recent history. Squad-wise, they don't exactly look as retooled as they could be for a Serie A title assault. They've lost Tijani Reinders, Luka Jovic has left, Noah Kafo's on his way out. We're not really sure where AC Milan are going to land. They may still lose Raphael Onyedika, who knows. But all I know is Samuel Chukwueze, this has to be the year for you. We've been talking about your potential for basically 6-7 seasons. That is never a good sign when you're looking at a footballer. Yes, he did some great things at Villarreal and for the national team, but there's someone that I've been banking on his potential since 2019. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. Samuel Chukwueze even played in AFCON when Osimhen was still trying to establish himself as a superstar in 2019, remember? But my word, has Samuel Chukwueze stagnated career-wise, especially club-wise. So this season, we need to see him show his workings. Between Pulisic, I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's find a way to break to the squad and show his reverence. I know he scored a few goals for AC Milan in the preseason game against was it a Chinese team or a Korean side the other day? So I hope you could tell he's getting up to fitness and, you know, feeling sharp. But my word, he needs to deliver for AC Milan. It's also a bit of a big prerogative because I still think we have an issue with our right wing in the Super Eagles. Yes, Chukwueze is still considered number 1. Moses Simon does not play as well on the right, and let's be honest, that spot should be Lookman's based on performances for the Super Eagles over the past 2 years. There's a world where I wanted Nathan Tella to challenge Chukwueze for that spot, and he still may, but Nathan Tella has 2 caps for Nigeria. So let's be honest, if we want this machine to be as well oiled and to function well, we need a fit and firing Chukwueze. So I'm really, really hoping that somehow it could just click for him in this 3rd season at AC Milan. Still one of the most prestigious clubs in the world. So that exposure is always amazing. You guys play in the San Siro. You know, Serie A is still the league that benefits our Nigerian players the most when you look at the quality of clubs that we play for. Now that Osimhen has left Napoli, but even with that, we still have players playing for Lazio, Milan, Atalanta. Maybe not for too much longer in terms of Atalanta, but compare it to where our players play in La Liga or the Prem, and it's clear that in Serie A we're revered. People can complain about the treatment of players in Serie A, but one thing that's clear to me is they will not hesitate to take their chance on a Nigerian player who's a star player in the top clubs in Italy. So we need to press on that goodwill, and Samuel Chukwueze is in need of a big season. Let me know what you think. Also, sorry I forgot. Guys, we're on 3,600 subscribers on YouTube. I'm changing the goal. I don't want 5K no more. You guys have shown me that you love the content and you love your national teams, men and women. We are going for mission 10K. Literally following on from the women. Mission 10K by AFCON. By the time AFCON is starting in December, I want to see our YouTube subscriber count hit 10,000. which means that way we'll be able to spread the word and the love of Nigerian football more and more to people in bigger ways. It opens up the possibilities for the YouTube accounts. Yes, it sounds like a very modest goal, but I know where we started from. And of course, when you're doing niche content on Super Eagles, I'm not really speaking about Premier League football, because I could easily do a podcast talking about Arsenal and the big clubs all day. Like, I've been an Arsenal fan for 25 years of my life. Trust me, if it's to talk the normal top 6, all of that, we could do it. But I really wanted a platform where we could focus on our players and give them a moment to shine. So I want to thank you all for all the support, especially over the Women's AFCON. The support was incredible. Over our normal videos, our short videos, the comments, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the channels. So first of all, I wanted to praise everybody and thank you so much. Sorry, it slipped my mind because I was already, into the content, efficiency. So please continue to run it up and let's see where we can get to in our goal to reach mission 10K by the time AFCON starts in December. So, who are the other attackers that I think are in need of big seasons? Victor Boniface. What can we say about Victor Boniface? 2 years ago, literally was talk of the town. First season in the Bundesliga, won the double, lost in the Europa League final, star player for Bayer Leverkusen apart from Florian Wirtz. But last season, what happened? Lost his place to Patrick Schick. Patrick Schick ended up as the second top goal scorer in the league. Patrick Schick just signed a new contract for Leverkusen yesterday as a key player. The same player that Boniface dominated that season with when they won the Bundesliga. Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, they moved to Liverpool. Granit Xhaka decided, I'm at the end of my career. I want to go back to England and be a big man in a small pond. Went Sunderland. Victor Boniface, where are you? The whole world is slightly forgetting about you. I love the fact you're doing content in Nigeria with your WebEx Studio content. It's good to hear from footballers and to hear what they think and their thoughts. I commend you. But brother, you've still never scored for the national team. And even in club football, you're not the guy that you once were. What are you going to do? Are you going to rise? Are you going to take it? What are we going to see from you, my boy? And when we even talk about, the way you perform and the way you must play for your clubs, Boniface is in need of a huge, huge season. What are we going to get? What are we going to see? What is going to change for Boniface? We need to get back to that elite level. We've got an AFCON coming up. You don't just have club people on your back. You also have Super Eagles fans on your back. Because Arokodare, Dessers, everybody else, they managed to even score 1 goal in the friendlies in June. But Boniface, you have to deliver. When we think about the ceiling of our players, I still maintain that apart from Osimhen and Lookman, I'm not sure any player in our national team pool has the ceiling to be as good like what Boniface has. But we need to see him deliver. He's always injured. Every year of his career, he's had at least an injury for a month, at least. Maybe 2, maybe 3. Can he just face his work as a professional footballer and deliver on the pitch? Yes, you need your moments to relax and to be playful. We all want you to never lose that side. But my brother, are you going to deliver on the pitch? What are you going to do today? What are you going to do? So Victor Boniface, my God, you need a big, big season. Because there's even a world right now where if you're Eric Chelle, you could pick Tolu Arokodare and Cyriel Dessers as your backups to Osimhen based on the workings they've shown for the national team. And then you put that useless post saying you are done with national team because you're in your feelings. My brother, relax. Pressure makes diamonds. If you think that Nigeria pressure is different, I know. But all players in big countries that love their football are going through it. Argentina or Brazil or all the European countries. So I don't want to hear that. Face your work and just have a brilliant season like we know you're capable of. So that's a big one I'm trying to watch out for this season. Also, when it comes to strikers, Nigerian striker, let's be honest, there's so many of them. Gift Orban as well. Such a stop-start form from him recently. We know how he blew when he was at Ghent. Everyone spoke about he's the talk of the town. He may go to Tottenham. Then he signed for Lyon and it was a disaster. I even thought the fact he spoke French will even allow him settle in. But my God, that was a terrible move. We saw him show glimpses for Hoffenheim, who he moved to in January. But not enough. This is a player that was touted as being someone that could play for a Tottenham or some of the biggest clubs in the world. And right now, you have to say that Gift Urban is just looking like a very average striker. Still yet to make his debut for Nigeria. Are we going to see him reclaim some of the hype that he had before? There's a lot to be seen. Can he put together a full season at Hoffenheim where they even start him all the time? Because they didn't start him on all their games. Yes, this is a team that narrowly avoided relegation, but he chose to sign for them. Can you do it in a top 5 league? We've seen Kramaric do it for them. We've seen Firmino do it for them. So Hoffenheim will give you the tools to do well as a striker. Can you deliver? Can you force your way into the conversation in terms of the national team? Can you force yourself into making your debut for Nigeria? We don't even know. But Gift Urban is a player that's in a big need of a big season. My God, we need to see it. Also, we have to talk about the Sevilla boys, man. Nigeria, we have 3 attackers on the books of Sevilla FC, and all of them need good seasons. That's the honest truth. Akor Adams signed for Sevilla in January after leaving Montpellier after a year and a half. Now, Akor Adams is a funny player. At the start of each season, the first 6 games, 10 games, he will show walkings. You'll see initial gagra. Even me, there's a way I was watching Akor Adams and Montpellier, I was thinking, this is another Terem Moffi. This guy Bolu. But every single time, the drop-off is always crazy. You have to give him some benefit of the doubt and say that last season, playing for a Montpellier team that finished bottom of League One is not a good sign. So he probably was not playing with the best players he could. And then he got Sevilla and got injured, and his career at Sevilla just never really kick-started. It's good to see that he scored a pretty good goal in pre-season, which I love to see as well. But I think this is a striker that could really get to the top. The talent is clear, and you can see the technical minerals with Akor Adams. But can he put it together? So I'm really hoping that Sevilla too need to bounce back, man. Sevilla used to win Europa Leagues all the time. Now they'll be finishing 12th, 14th. Like, sort it out, man. We want to come to the Sanchez Pizjuan and celebrate some good things. So Sevilla help the players. And players, please help Sevilla. They need to be better. This Sevilla, historic club in Spain. So that's one. Chidera Ejuke, can he finally become a starter for a top 5 club over the whole course of a season? All this, so I get injured, I come back, I replace Luka Bakio in some games. They bring me on as a sub, I start some games. I do jinky me jinky because I can dribble, but my end product is always kind of missing. Ejuke, sort it out. Do you want to be a Super Eagles player or not? You play left wing. We already have Lookman and Simon. But can you show enough workings that will be too hard to be ignored? The jury's out. I want to see something from you this year. And then finally, Kelechi Iheanacho. Let's be honest. Iheanacho may end up not even staying at Sevilla. That is how bad his career went at Sevilla last season. Kelechi Iheanacho was signed on a free contract by Sevilla, and they got rid of him so quickly. Now, the reason why I like to call out these kind of players is things change so quickly in football. Kelechi Iheanacho will be 29 years old in October. In 2 months from now. This is someone that we were talking about, an upcoming player for how many years? And I don't care how much you love Kelechi Iheanacho and you call him senior man. The fact of the matter is he has not lived up to the expectations of his career based on the potential he had at Man City. So what's going to happen? This is a player that got loaned from Sevilla to Middlesbrough in the championship, played 15 games. In 15 games, he scored 1 goal and got 2 assists. Kelechi Iheanacho is very close, if he's not careful, to go in the same path of the likes of the Samuel Kalus of the world or the Emmanuel Dennises of the world. Well, all of a sudden, you're forgotten by big clubs and they don't even trust your work ethic that you can even do a decent job for a normal team in a decent league. Samuel Kalu right now is without a club. Kelechi is lucky he signed that free transfer. I think it's a 3-year deal. So he'll still be ending contract for at least another 2 years. But my God, does he need to deliver. Right now, Kelechi Iheanacho was even lucky to be put into the Nigeria squad in the summer for those friendly games. Because if it's based on merit, there is no way he deserves to be in that squad. So let's see if he ends up playing for Sevilla or not. He scored a goal in preseason, so we'll give him the credit for that. But my word, is he in need of a big season. So Kelechi Iheanacho, I don't know. If you still want this reverence and this prayer, you must deliver. Oh. Football is, you must show workings. Nobody loves you in football for free. So let's see what you could do with your career. And I'm really hoping that you can somehow figure it out. Also, In terms of strikers, I mean, let's be honest, Nigeria. Now, striker we carry the most. So, who else is in need of a big season? Onuachu. Can we see Onuachu finally get back to starting in a team he likes? I'm intrigued to see if he could, replicate the first spell he had at Trabzonspor. He's moved back to Trabzonspor, but he went there on loan, not last season, but the season before. So the 23-24 season, and he did amazing things. We've also seen him tear up the Belgian league, which is why I'm always skeptical about people doing well in the Belgian league, and if they can translate it. We saw Dessers shine there. We saw Arokodare shine there. We saw Onuachu shine there. But once they move to other leagues, let's just say it's not the same thing in the top 5 leagues. But Onuachu is nice seeing him play. It's very likely Onuachu's played his last game for the Super Eagles, but there's a world where if he could do amazing things, this one, the best player in Nigeria, decided to stay in Turkey in the 9th strongest league in Europe. Maybe there'll be more eyeballs, so let's see what he can do with his career. Also, speaking of players who played in Belgium, Tolu Arokodare, he always had a stop-start career until last season. He played in Amiens, went on loan to different clubs, but he finally put together an exceptional season for Genk last season and finished the top goal scorer in the Belgian league. Now, can he push on show us that he's not a one-season wonder? That's something for me. He also scored his first international goal against Russia, which is a well-taken goal. Can he become Osimhen's best backup? Or can he at least establish himself as a Super Eagles regular at all times? Can he push on from what he's done from Genk? I mean, Genk played over this weekend and he was on the bench. Came on to make a cameo. So I don't know if that's related to a transfer or he's just out of favor with the manager, but let's see. But can he build on? We need our players to be consistent. No one seeing wonder behavior over here. So watch out for that. Speaking of another player that's fighting for one of those 2 spots behind Osimhen in AFCON, Cyriel Dessers had a huge season last season. Started on the bench over the weekend for Rangers in their 1-1 draws. They opened the SPFL season. But we know he was prolific last season, if inconsistent in some big games. However, he showed good promise for the Super Eagles, especially in our game against Ghana, where he scored a great goal. And I really want to see if someone like Dessers can finally force himself into a squad for a tournament. Up until now, he's only played friendly games for the Super Eagles. Yes, there's competition with Arokodare, Onuachu, Adams, Iheanacho, Moffi, but someone's got to get picked. And one good thing that he has going for himself is earlier today, Rangers beat Victoria Pilsen 3-0 in the UEFA Champions League qualifier. Yes, they still have one more round of qualifiers, but if Rangers could get themselves to the Champions League, all of a sudden, Dessers playing in the Champions League are doing well. I mean, that definitely boosts your chances of being one of the backups to Victor Osimhen at AFCON. So I think Cyriel Dessers really has a very big year. We know he had an offer from Akor Adams, but he didn't take that, and I'm glad he didn't. Because if you go to Akor Adams, I'm sorry, as a striker in Nigeria, it's not as if he's left back where I'm managing on him actually. My God, you will not play for Nigeria again. So I'm glad about that for sure. But let's see what he could do this season and how good can it get for Cyriel Dessers. Now, another personal favour of mine, I already mentioned, Terem Moffi. Terem Moffi's another player to watch. Finally done with his ACL injury, I'm just excited to watch him play again. I think Moffi's ceiling is one of the highest. It's not easy to recover from ACL, but in preseason, Moffi's looked pretty good. Now, Nice will also be playing some Champions League qualifiers because they finished 4th in the French league last season. And then, like I said, they're selling their main striker, Gussan, to Aston Villa. So there's a world where we could even see Terem Moffi playing Champions League football. And there's a world where he will come back and be the main striker for Nice as they try to push for a Champions League spot again this year. So I think this is a huge season for Terem Moffi. And I actually think he's one of the chosen ones when you look at the way he performs. So I would love to see him deliver and get to where he used to be. So watch out for Terem Moffi. Another striker to shout out, Umar Sadiq. I mean, it's a shame that Valencia did not take the option to buy him, even though he had a decent season. But he needs a good season. Umar Sadiq is no spring chicken anymore. Yes, he won the Under-17 World Cup with Iheanacho. But as I told you, Iheanacho is almost 29. Nigeria, we cannot rely on past glory. Umar Sadiq is 28 years old. He's already 28. He ain't no spring chicken. He's never stayed somewhere and been the absolute superstar player for them. Yes, Almeria, but Almeria were always going relegated up and down. So what's going to happen with Umar Sadiq? Are Real Sociedad going to keep him? It's very unlikely considering the fact that they loaned him to Valencia last year. But we need to see him once and for all try to, reclaim the hype. He's had good moments. He even scored in one of the last AFCONs. Remember when we called him up? Not the last AFCON, but the one before, where Osimhen did not go. So what can happen with Umar Sadiq's career? I think it's another big player that we need to watch out for. And finally, in terms of attackers, some players in need of big seasons apart from Chukwueze. Moses Simon. Moses Simon carried his body playing for Nantes, who finished 14th in the league. I decided that, I'm going to move to a team that's just been promoted in Ligue 1. I've never seen a player that likes being a one-eyed king in the land of the blind like Moses Simon. Moses Simon wants us to respect him in national team and wants to be a star player for Nigeria. But he likes playing for these clubs that, no disrespect to them, but they ain't really big time. This guy's played for Levante, moved to Nantes, stayed in Nantes for how many years? Yes, on a personal level, you get French citizenship, and I'm happy for you in that one. But my God, it's such an it just leaves an interesting taste in the mouth. What do you mean you left Nantes to go and play for Paris FC that had just been promoted because they have ambitious owners? It's like if a player come and play for Sunderland right now in their career. At least Granit Xhaka won the Bundesliga title with Leverkusen. Was Arsenal captain. Played for Arsenal for how many years? Moses Simon, we can't now be the ones singing your praises because you come and do well for Nigeria here and there. Well, don't you want to play in Europe? I don't really get Moses Simon, man. It's an interesting one. But anyway, he's made his decision. He'll have to deal with it. Paris FC, let's see if they could stay in Ligue 1. Obviously, Paris Saint-Germain now have a team to play a derby against with Paris FC. I know Paris FC have ambitious owners. Maybe it may click and I'll look like an absolute twat. And they may end up coming in 8th, 9th. But there's a world where they struggle and Moses Simon continues his cycle of, big fish in a small pond. So a lot to watch there and very, very interesting. And then finally, I already said Nathan Tella. Can he finally establish himself as a true superstar for club and country? Started a lot last season, but not yet seen as an essential player based on his impact. When you even compare the goals he scored, I think he had 5 goals last season, hit the bar a lot. But compared to Boniface the year before, where he scored 20 plus goals, still only has 2 caps for Nigeria. He's yet to really show us that he's like that guy. So I think Nathan Tella has a lot to prove this year. And does he want to make the AFCON squad? If Nathan Tella doesn't make the AFCON squad, if he somehow make the World Cup, he ain't going to no World Cup, man. You can't have 2 caps at age 26. All you players that will take time to choose Nigeria. I'm tired of you guys, man. Yeah, that's the indirect to Chidera Ejuke. You come to Nigeria, you're telling us let's see. You think we are Ghana, that they will bring out presidential treatment and Otsnodoy and Co will not still play for them? Does Chidera Ejuke know what Super Eagles is? You come to Nigeria, do foundation, they are interviewing you, are saying, let's see. Someone that is almost 27. Please, don't disrespect Nigeria. I don't like that thing at all. Someone should tell Chidera Ejuke and that is camp. Super Eagles is not second choice, so big institution. We get superstars. Come and be out here. We'll see. Come to Nigeria saying we'll see. We'll see what. My friend go apply to NFF. Acting as if Nigeria they beg you. As if no be you need player. We need the international cap. Rubbish. No, that was a bit heated. But that by old rubbish. I don't like it at all, man. Respecting Super Eagles as if we're one common team. Rubbish. Anyway, other players need a big seasons. Let me try and round it up because I know I'm talking a lot. But let me know if you like the long content as well. Midfielders, Fisayo Dele-Bashiru. In and out of the Lazio team last season, mostly on the bench and injured at some point. Lazio, of course, have a new manager. They've brought Maurizio Sarri back into the fold. All of us who've watched Sarri ball, we know he's a great attacking coach. So what can he do with someone like Fisayo? He has a lot to prove to be part of the starting next side. But I love the way he performs for Nigeria, as I've always said. I love his X-Factor skills. But he needs a big season for Lazio this season. So watch this space for Fisayo. Also, Christantus Uche, young player of the season on our award show. Great breakout season for Getafe. Over 10 plus goal contributions for Bodela's ball. And even got his opportunity to make his debut for Nigeria against Jamaica. Scored the winning penalty. Played against Russia as well. Got 2 caps now. Very, very happy. Can he build on it? Can he have another exceptional year? You know, I think he has a clear goal to make the AFCON squad. So Christantus Uche has a clear goal for the start of the season. Play well for Getafe, make yourself undroppable, come and play his World Cup qualifiers, and make the AFCON squad and make an impact. And I definitely think out of a lot of players we have in our national team pool, he's one of those few players with the X factor to really truly be great for us. So watch this space out. We're wishing Christantus Uche all the best. Also, one of my favorite players for Nigeria, of course, Raphael Onyedika. Onyedika's Bruges, he was in the Champions League last season. Unfortunately, in the league club, Bruges came second, so they lost out on the title, which means they now have to play Champions League qualifiers. So they've got a qualifier game tomorrow against Red Bull Salzburg. We're wishing Onyedika all the best. I'm a bit surprised that there's not been a lot more interest in Onyedika because he's a stellar player. Although, like I've told you guys before, someone come and educate me. I think our players have, at best, average agents. Average, all of them, every single one of them that plays for Nigeria right now. Look at the Lookman situation. Look at Onyedika's situation. Look at Osimhen where he ended up at. You can't tell me these guys have great agents, man. I'm sorry. Ndidi, like, we just don't have players who seem to, the agents can figure out like the best moves for their career. So anyway, let's see what happens to Onyedika. It's likely he's going to stay, but I wish him to get back to the Champions League so at least he can showcase himself at AFCON and potentially the World Cup and then get a better move next summer. So Onyedika is another person in need of a big season, so let's watch out for him. And then finally, a few more players. Frank Onyeka. Frank Onyeka is back from his loan spell from Orban. He played pretty well, but the other day, it's bloody Orban. No offense to Orban. Like, it's Orban, man. Like, bro, come on. And I like how he's tried to brand himself this summer. But brother, you've got a new manager who is your set-piece coach. Can you prove to Keith Andrews you deserve to play? If you're not good enough to be in the midfield of Brentford when they've lost Christian Nogard, Onyeka, we have to start looking at you sideways. So the fact that they sent him on loan last year, I don't want to see Jordan Henderson benching you, man. Can you get back into the squad and let's see some action? Or if not, play well for another club. Let's just see what happens. But Onyeka, remember, was dropped from the World Cup qualifiers. So this is a player that has a lot to prove to Eric Sekoshel. So let's see how he performs. And a big season ahead. Also, Joe Aribo, too important this season. This is another person that is now 29. Never lived up to the hype. And he seems like he's just okay, like being an okay player. Does he have ambitions to get back into the Super Eagles squad? This guy, his first two cards for Nigeria, scored against Ukraine and Brazil. Fully washed us. Now they don't even call him up for AFCON. And to make matters worse, I'm hearing that he might leave Southampton to go relegated to go to Trabzonspor in Turkey. So, Aribo, man, I can't believe he scored in the Europa League final. We keep praising Lookman for scoring 3 goals in the Europa League final. Aribo too scored in the Europa League final. That's how good he was. So I don't know, man, but Aribo, rise, please rise. Show us you want to play football well again. So I'm hoping you can somehow show some kind of workings. And then finally, in terms of midfielders, Hamzat Ojediran. I think central midfield is a position on the pitch where we need a few more players. Hamzat Ojediran looks like one of the players that can make that step up. He has a fresh new start at Lens. Their last manager is gone. He's gone signed for Southampton in the Championship. So he has a fresh opportunity to become a first team regular. And hopefully he can get on the national team radar with Eric Sekoshel. He's still only 21 years old, so he has time. But the sooner the better, my boy. So one to watch for the future and for Nigeria, hopefully. So let's see if we can have another big season. And then finally, in terms of the defenders, Ola Aina, key season. We know how amazing he was last year. Should have been in team of the season if you ask me. But can he build on his bigger reputation that we've seen in the Premier League now? He's probably the most covered Nigerian footballer because, let's be honest, if you play in Premier League, they cover you the most. And Ola Aina now has the personality. He's funny. We know about his Snapchat. He's been doing interviews left, right, and center with both big and small podcasts. And look, you only do interviews when people want you. Ola Aina is the flavor of the month, and long may it continue. So I want to see him build on his performances. Whether Nottingham Forest end up playing Europa League or Conference League, no problem. But can you build on last season? You signed a new contract. You're going to play in Europe. You are starting right back. We don't want to see you get cooked in no final this AFCON. I love the way he's even humorous about what happened to him in the AFCON final. And I still believe, I know it's one of the positions that really helps us stand out. there's some positions in Super Eagles team that you would even admit as a Nigerian that we don't necessarily have the best players. But Ola Aina as a right back is up there with almost any other right back in football, let's be honest. So I know, can you continue to step up? And honestly, I wish you all the best because, man, you make us so happy. And it's just a fantastic thing to see. Now, he's back up at right back. Bright Osayi-Samuel. Yes, you know Osayi-Samuel was born in Nigeria, but he moved to England early. But Bright Osayi-Samuel has decided to leave Fenerbahce playing under Jose Mourinho, where they could have qualified for the Champions League, and has decided to sign for Birmingham City in the Championship. Yes, they have ambitious owners with Tom Brady also part of the ownership group. They've signed Kyogo Fuhashiri. They've signed quite a few star players. Demari Gray. It looks like Birmingham are doing a full-on assault to win the Championship this season. And I hope they win it. Osayi-Samuel, I hope you start and I hope you win it and you come to the Premier League. But me as a Nigerian, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth that a player has swapped potential Europe with Mourinho to go to the Championship. Yes, you could say he wants to be closer to home, no problem. But we had rumors he could have gone to Crystal Palace last year. So it just leaves a slight interesting taste in my mouth. So let's see if he even maintains his position in the Super Eagles squad. His second choice, but I just don't like Championship players being caught up to Nigeria. Tier 1 nations, if a player plays in the second division of any country, they're not going to make... You will not make England squad if you play in Championship or Brazil or Argentina. So why should Nigeria be saying this nonsense? So anyway, let's watch and see how it does. But man, we need to... Maybe we'll stop calling these people up if they play in these tier 2 leagues, man. Because it really leaves a very harsh taste in my mouth, to be honest. But let's see how we get on. In terms of other fullbacks, I mean, we have to go to the left-hand side as well. Basically, a lot of our defenders, we need to see some walkings, man. Left back, we got Felix Agu. He made his debut in the Unity Cup. Plays for Werder Bremen. Can he build on his performances in that tournament and really establish himself in the national team? There's a world where he could even become first choice over Bruno Yemachi. But he needs to deliver. We'll see how he performs at the start of the season. Bundesliga starts slightly later, I think a week after the Prem. So let's see what happens with Felix Agu, but he needs a big season. Speaking of left backs, another player that's on the verge of his career finally totaling down. Zaidu Sanusi. Injuries have absolutely dealt with him over the past 2 years, and I feel so bad for him. But Zaidu Sanusi, if you're not going to play for Porto, can you seek out a move in the next 4 weeks before the transfer window closes? He needs a big season. Out of all the defenders, he may need the biggest season of all, to be honest. Because he's out of Super Eagles radar. I can't remember the last time he played for Nigeria. I can't remember the last time he started 2 games consecutively for Porto. That's how bad it's become. But we know there's a player there because we've seen the workings before. So I really wish him well, and let's see what could come from Zaidu Sanusi. Other players to look forward to, I've got about 8 centre-backs with interesting seasons to prove. We already know that when you look at the national team's back four, Ola Aina is confirmed on the right. Trustekong is confirmed in the middle of the defense, but Trustekong is born the same year as me. So Ekong is already 32. After this World Cup qualifiers and AFCON, you have to look at a succession plan because Ekong went to Saudi, so he's clearly looking at the end of his career. We also have Calvin Bassey, who's our number 1 defender by far in terms of reputation, performance, and everything. And then left back, we got Yemachi and Felix Agu and Zaidu Sanusi to battle it out. But that Ekong spot, in my opinion, is up for grabs. There is even a world where, based on the way Ekong's performed in a few games, we may see him dropped. I don't know. All I'm saying is there is a world where someone can establish themselves as the forefront centre-back to partner with Calvin Bassey going forward. At the Unity Cup, we saw Fredericks get a chance, Igoh Ogbu get a chance, Shemi Ajayi got a chance too. But we need somebody to grab the bull by the horns and say, no, it's me that's going to be your starter. And that starts with one of the players I'm going to talk about, Jordan Torunarigha. Jordan Torunarigha is now back in the top 5 league. He moved from Ghent to Hamburg. Now, for anyone who's a bit too young to know about Hamburg, Hamburg previously won the European Cup in the 80s. They had Kevin Keegan win the Ballon d'Or while playing for them. Hamburg are one of the big giants of Germany. Do not get it twisted. They're like Leeds United. And they're finally back in the Bundesliga after a 7-year absence. And honestly, they've been going to town in terms of signings. Signing certain players that could have links to Germany. We know Torunarigha is a former German youth international. I think he only has two caps for Nigeria. Another player that took too long to accept our call-up. So honestly, it is what it is. But let's see what he could do playing for Hamburg. Can he show consistency and become too good to be ignored? I love the fact he's playing in top 5 league. So can we see those workings? He's one of the people that could get that option. Also, Igoh Ogbu. Igoh Ogbu got his Super Eagles debut in the summer. Played well for Slavia Prague. Played well for Nigeria as well. But we have to admit he plays for Slavia Prague in the Czech Republic League. It's not one of the best leagues in Europe. But we know he has potential to become one of the best players. He's extended his contract with Slavia Prague, and the good news is they will be playing in the Champions League this season. So they'll be on the biggest stage. So let's see if he could become a contender to be the established partner for Bassi. Personally, I think he has the best chance to become that secure guy. But obviously, if no one's come to pick you up from a top 5 league, it's for a reason. So, a lot to look forward to unless he performs. Also, Gabriel Osho, another player who's looking at the icon spot, playing in League One for Auxerre. Pretty decent first season in League One after playing in Premier League for Luton the year before. Can he continue to play games and impress? He was one of the victims of really, really bad coaching from Finidi George, who just left him in a lurch, and he didn't perform that well in those World Cup qualifier games. So maybe that's counting against him, and he was injured for the friendlies in the summer. But can he get back into the squad and into the reckoning? He's another one. Also, Kevin Akpoguma, former German youth captain. We know that he's definitely paying consequences for taking too long to agree for Nigeria. Like, the amount of times he could have been called up where they didn't even send his side, honestly. But he only has himself to blame. Nigeria is not Ghana. No offense to Ghana or all these smaller African countries. No, they disrespect us. We get too much pride. We get too much pride and we get 200 million people. Footballers go show, even with the bad administration. So no, they use us do smear. Now you are wishing for cap, you won't play World Cup now. We know they look your side. But Akpoguma, there's a player in there. But can he at least start all the games for Offenheim and gift Orban? And let's see the workings as he plays. Also, a player that surprised us in the summer, Benjamin Frederick. I still think it's a bit too soon for him to be a starter, but he's one of those players that you can almost look at as a development project in for the national team based on his age. He's played well in our youth groups. He also made his debut unexpectedly in the summer because he was on the books of Brentford and he was close by. I mean, let's just blame that on Nigerianness. But he's on loan in the Belgian league for FCV Denda. He just needs to establish himself as a professional footballer. And the good news is in the Belgian league over the weekend, he started the game for Denda as they drew a game 1-1. He can worry about caps later, but let him just establish himself as a professional footballer this season. A few more centre-backs to speak on. Chidozie Awaziem is back in a top 5 league, and I'm very excited because I don't know why you go to the MLS. But anyway, he's moved back to Moses Simon former club FC Nantes, so he'll be playing in League One. Let's see if he can perform. Will he start games? Is there anything he can do to get back into the Super Eagles fold? This is a player that used to always be called up. And we know that in terms of morale and personality, Awaziem is someone that everybody likes. Everybody loves his energy. He brings a lot of good things to the Super Eagles. So can he perform and try and almost force himself into the reckoning? Time shall tell. But this also tells you how many centre-backs we have in our pool. This is why I don't like their bio nonsense. Because you now believe for Chelsea, I tell us, let's see. It's annoying me against him. Vince Osuji. Now, in January, Club Brugge, where Onyedika plays for, signed a Nigerian 18-year-old centre-back, Vince Osuji. He was not new sub yesterday for Bruges in their league game, but the fact he was even named in the squad is a promotion and progress from where he was last season. Is there anything he can do to establish himself in the squad? Can he get significant minutes? Watch this space. I think that's going to be very important for us to watch over this season. Or will he go on loan? Maybe that's what he needs. All shall be revealed soon, but I think it's definitely one to monitor. And then finally, in terms of players that I think have a lot to prove, Shemi Logo Ajayi. Now, we know Shemi Ajayi for some reason. Eric Chow really likes him, man. He started the game against Ghana. He started the game against Russia. Got an own goal. No offense to Shemi Logo Ajayi. I always tell you people, I've never seen a worse centre-back for Nigeria on the ground. In the air, amazing. He can do anything in the air. But on the ground, let's just say there's a reason he's been playing the championship for 4 of the past 5 seasons. And there's a reason why now that his contract expired at West Brom, he moved to Hull City. For those of you who may be watching football for a long time, Hull have not been in the Premier League for a long time. They're firmly mid-table championship material. So Semi Ajayi getting a contract to move to Hull City is very telling about where he stands right now as a professional footballer. This is not personal. Left to me, Semi Ajayi will never play for Nigeria again. I even think it's an insult that someone that signed for Hull City should come and play for Super Eagles of Nigeria. No offense. But for some reason, the coach likes him. So let's see what can happen. Will he play enough to remain in the picture? Or will he finally have put paid to his chances of going back to Super Eagles? So, a lot to look at, a lot to be interested about. Sorry that was a bit of a long one, but we get Nigerian players there, a lot of people to track, and the season is young, fresh, a lot of hope. So obviously I'm wishing all these players well, and I hope they could do exceptional things for the Super Eagles and also in their club sides. The more we have, the merrier. The more players we have in the top 5 leagues, the better for us. And then finally, I didn't even add them to the list, but where is Stanley Nwabali going to play this year? This one they are playing for Chippa United and finishing 10th South Africa. And Nigerians like to collectively act like it's better than Maduka Okoye because Maduka made more mistake 3 years ago while starting games in Syria. Look, one thing about football is a meritocracy. The proof will be in the pudding. Let's see what happens with Nwabali. So yeah, that's it in terms of players to look out for. I need a big season. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments if there's any players I missed that you think also need big seasons or really need to just push on from good seasons they had last year. You know, it's really exciting. Is there any player I haven't thought about? Let me know in the comments. What will players look like by the end of the transfer window? We need more players in the Premier League. What would that look like? It's all interesting. So, just to round up the podcast, looking at transfer news, by the way, Ademola Lookman has publicly put a transfer request to Atalanta. According to Fabrizio Romano, he did not train today or yesterday. But anyway, long story short, he's trying to find the way out. The problem is right now, only Inter Milan have put in a bid for the African Footballer of the Year right now. Lookman is no one to speak on to the proper issue, and I love his professionalism handling the issue with Gasperini last year after Gasperini publicly called him out on missing a pen. Now, the thing with this situation is Inter offered 42 million euros plus 3 million in add-ons. Now, I'm sorry, Inter Milan, I don't know if you guys like Drake, but you know the Drake song with 21 Savage, Broke Boys? I can't stand some broke boys. Inter Milan are moving like broke boys. When you tell me someone's the African Footballer of the Year, got over 20 GA assists in Serie A last season and the year before, performed in the Champions League, scored a hat-trick in Europa League the year before, and you're telling me you want to bring 45 million euros to buy him? If I'm Atalanta too, I'll slap your face. This is derisory. It's an insult. What the hell do you mean they should let him go for 45 million euros? You were in the Champions League final last year. 2 out of the last 3 years Champions League finals. Still moving like brokers. Better pay up or get out if you're not serious. Now making Atalanta look bad. It's not even bias. Look at the money Madueke is going for, Ekitike is going for, wingers are going for. And you're telling me that someone with Lookman's resume over the past 3 years is who you want to buy for 45 million euros. Inter is not good now. Very insulting. If you want a star player, bring star player money. Serie A teams, they're so broke, man. They piss me off. Why you lose your advantage from all those years when the whole world was coming to Serie A? Say 45 million. Then Lookman is now putting statement out, making himself look bad. If Inter put 60 million euros, will he be here? Better go and cough out another 15 million euros, you brokers, man. Rubbish. But anyway, I would like to see him move to Inter if they can bring the money because he will likely win Serie A. Inter are the best team in Syria. Forget the Napoli one last year. They need to go and kiss Pedro's feet for that equalizer he scored for Lazio at San Siro. Yes, Napoli may win it because they've got De Bruyne now and they've retooled, but Inter by far, they've got the best squad in Syria. They should have won the league last year for sure. So I like Lookman's chances in there. But I'm a bit surprised there's not more of an approach for Lookman. This is a star player. Star player. But anyway, I hope he gets things sorted out because we need him for AFCON. And let's be honest, that Lookman Osimhen 2-man step, that is literally the keys to winning AFCON. If Lookman or Osimhen are not on fire, Nigeria is in trouble. Yeah. So Lookman, I wish you the best. Inter, broke boys, go and bring the money. Please, thank you. Also, I mean, Osimhen has confirmed his transfer to Galatasaray. I don't want to say too much, like, before they'll say I'm a hater. Honestly, I'm happy for him. Personally, he's going to a club that he's happy. He already won the double last year. The whole of Istanbul is in love with him. And Turkish fans are some of the most passionate fans I've ever seen in the world. They definitely rival Napoli fans and Nigerian fans in terms of how they support their clubs. So he feels the love, all of that. That's all good. They're going to pay him his salary he wants. That's all fine and good. So I wish him well and let him continue to win trophies. But you have to admit that when a player is of Osimhen's age and quality, and we all know that he's capable of playing for any team in the Premier League or any of the best clubs in the world, even Real Madrid, even Barcelona, going to Galatasaray to go and be playing against Samsunspor, you play big games against Fenerbahce, Besiktas, Trabzonspor, you play maybe 6 big games a year, you dominate and beat everybody, you come and play Champions League, they'll flatter to deceive. They may qualify as one of the 9th to 24th teams in the Champions League qualifier, but we all know Galatasaray are not going to win Champions League. It just leaves a bit of a sour taste. You should be playing top 5 league, Victor Osimhen. You're too good for the Turkish league. He's giving one-eyed king in the land of the blind too, man. Like, no offense. But I understand his options were limited, especially with all the kind of weird PR that was going out on his name. Another reason I say these agents, they don't have good agents or good PR teams. If you see some of the things I heard about Osimhen from podcasts or different places, I couldn't believe it. But on a positive note, he'll play in Champions League, stays in Europe, so let's acknowledge the good. But my God, he had the quality to play for anybody. But it is what it is. I mean, I listen to the rest of his football podcast. That's Gary Lineker's podcast with Alan Shearer and Michael Richards. And Gary Lineker said he heard from someone that Osimhen can sometimes go missing. Like, he will just not be training. He will be away for 3-4 days. I don't know where they keep hearing this rubbish to be slandering Osimhen's name. It's not good. Because all those 3 players, former players, all said they can't believe Osimhen is not in the Prem. That how could Osimhen not? Alan Shearer tried to lil bro Osimhen and say that João Pedro is better than him. Look, there's a reason Newcastle will perish forever. Useless club. Useless. But Osimhen, the way they're talking on your name, I don't like it, man. I wish you would have come and shut all these people up. But you know what? We love you. Win me my AFCON. Take us to World Cup. And we wish you well. And keep making the people in Istanbul happy. No problem. And we know on a personal note, you are very happy. So it is what it is. Also, speaking of Turkey, we had Wilfred Ndidi maybe moving to Besiktas. Talks are ongoing. He's been very loyal and great servant to Leicester. He stayed there for 8 seasons. But playing in Championship for a second out of 3 seasons is not good for me, please. He already has British citizenship, so good. Please go. Go to Besiktas. Even if you play Europa League, please go. Ndidi should have left Leicester 4-5 years ago when he was as hot as he was. But yet again, I tell you, these are players that are the best agents. It's clear. It's really clear, honestly. So let him go to Besiktas. We'll see how he does there. They're going to finish 3rd in the league, no problem. But please be going. And then also, as I said, Champions League games took place today in terms of qualifiers. We saw Rangers play Victoria Pilsen. Cyriel Dessers played 73 minutes, scored a penalty and assisted Ghassan with the first goal. Fantastic performance from Cyriel Dessers. He's also on the back pages of the British newspapers today. So shout out to you, Cyriel Dessers, and long may it continue. Raphael Onyedika also played 65 minutes. I saw him have a header goal just wide. But Victoria Pilsen are out of this. They're going to play Europa League for sure. It's done. Rangers are 3-0 up from the first leg. Second leg is a formality. However, Rangers will have to play another round of qualifiers, so let's see how they get on when that time comes. As for tomorrow, we have a few other Nigerian players involved in Champions League qualifiers, so we'll see Raphael Onyedika and Vince Osuji's Club Brugge play against RB Salzburg. I hope Club Brugge can do it, but they've lost some of their star players as well from the summer. They lost one to Sunderland, one of those their pacey wingers as well. Also, Red Star Belgrade's Peter Onyeka will be in action against Lech Poznan, so look out for that game on Wednesday tomorrow. And then Terem Moffi's Nice will be in action against Benfica tomorrow as well. I think that's a very, 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 very tough fixture. How can you do Benfica versus Nice? That even feels harsh. But of course, we're rooting for Terem Moffi, and we're hoping that somehow Benfica will not win the tie. So look out for that. And then finally, in terms of main roundups, we saw the Chan Super Eagles play their first game of the African Nations Championship earlier today. And honestly, they were atrocious. I mean, all of you that like to scream that they must call home-based players up for Nigeria, I hope you are all watching this Chan Eagles play. I hope you are watching how useless Nigerian Premier League is compared to the continental players in there. Since no one likes to acknowledge the fact that we have not made it Champions League group stage in over 8 seasons. And we don't have any player. Our league is literally ranked 9th in the whole of Africa. It's even 12th. We're nowhere near the top. And you can see the workings today. If you see the goal Nigeria conceded against Senegal, I'm sorry, it was a disgrace at best. The centre back went to sleep. A ball that should have been tracking back, he thought he was going back to the goalkeeper. And then the goalkeeper as well. All of a sudden, he rushed out of his goal way earlier than he needed to. Of course, Senegalese guy just dribbled him. Even though they tried to get back, just slapped the ball into the net. Awful performance, man. Awful. So all of you PFL matcher, improve the league. Learn the league improves, then we'll see what they can do. Because everybody who watched the game today can admit that shit was awful. It was an eyesore. So we move. Anyway, and then finally, just to round up the podcast, I just want you guys to know that, as I said, the Belgian league resumed last week. We saw Tolu Arokodare and Irasoa come off the bench for Genk in their 1-1 draw against Royal Antwerp. Let's see if both of them start against Standard Liège away on Sunday. Raphael Onyedika, on the other hand, played 79 minutes, while Vinsosuji was on the bench for Club Brugge as they started their season. It was their second game of the season, but they lost to KV Mechelen 2-1 on Friday, which is a bit of a disgraceful result. It's kind of like, that was a good example. Man City losing to West Ham. It's like, come on, do better, you know. And then we saw Benjamin Frederick start, as I mentioned. So his next game is against St. Truden away on Friday. Also, Scottish League, we'll see Cyriel Dessers play against Dundee at home on Saturday. He played really well today. And as I said earlier, they drew against Motherwell to start the season over the weekend. And then star player Victor Osimhen. The Turkish League resumes this weekend. Galatasaray opened the account on Friday against Gaziantep away, Friday 7:30 p.m. I know ESPN was showing Turkish League games in Nigeria last season. I don't know if they'll continue this season, but look out for that if you watch. Anthony Dennis will be in action for Godsepe against Rizespor away on Sunday 5 p.m. Onuachu and Anthony Nwakeme's Trabzonspor will be in action against Kocaelispor at home on Monday. That's newly promoted team, so look out for that. And of course, we're really excited about the season. This has been a monster long episode, but it had to be done, guys. Talking to all the content. And that's it for this episode of the podcast. Really looking forward to the season starting. We got a community shield on Sunday as well to look forward to Liverpool and Crystal Palace. Let's see where all the teams end up. As I said, next week we'll do a quick roundup on any transfers involving Nigerian players in the top 10 leagues, so you can just know where our players are playing for next season. And of course, really looking forward to doing a roundup of the games, and especially once the Premier League starts. Until next time, I've been your host, Olu Oke. Thanks again to every single listener, supporter, subscriber, liker, sharer, video watcher, word of mouth spreader. We appreciate all of you. So please keep it up. I promise you the content is not stopping. We're thinking of ways to continue to level up and bring you this amazing content. Your feedback is always welcome. Let me know in the comments. Please be nice. If you're not nice, I'll be harsh to you too. I'm still a human being. Those of you that just like to talk anyhow, hey, shut up, hey, this one. I'll be wondering that, is it that speaking to people weirdly online gives you joy because of your current situation? I don't know. But please, it's a joyful platform. We bring love. So shout out to all the people who come in respectfully. I appreciate you all. Until next time, I've been also okay. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care and ciao ciao. Football is back. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop the video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeriano the ever carry last.